I'm joined by my very best friend in real life, my Wednesday co-host, Elise Merle in Regina, Saskatchewan. Hi, Elise.
Hi, Shilligan Reid.
And this is our Western Wednesdays panel. It's called the Buffalo Panel. And on Wednesdays, we bring in two more guest co-hosts, panelists, where we discuss Western-focused issues, and we try to rotate through an interesting cast of characters, people who care deeply about Western separation or Western autonomy, whatever that might mean to all of you. And we discuss them in a way that I think the mainstream media would probably object to. And I think that's really important. Now, if you're watching us on Rumble, thanks for watching us on a great free speech platform. If you want to have your say, you can leave a Rumble rant. That's their paid chat there. If it's over the $5 US cutoff, we'll do our best. No, I'm sorry. It's obligatory that we read it on air. If it's under that, we do our best to get to it, time permitting. And somebody commented yesterday, why do you want us to leave it in US? I don't. But that's the currency over there. If you're watching us on YouTube, Super Chat, same rules apply, but there's also an additional way that you can support us, and that is through a Super Thanks. That's their paid chat. And we ask you this because we'll never take a penny from any level of government to do the work that we do to hold the government to account on behalf of the people, all of you watching at home. So that's it. Let's bring in our panelists. You know them. You love them. You respect them. We've got Marty Belanger. You may know him on X as Marty Up North, Western independence activist. And then you know the guy right above me. That's Chris Scott. He's the renegade diner owner of the Whistle Stop Cafe. COVID criminal recidivist. He went to jail for reopening his diner under Jason Kenney's authoritarian and ultimately illegal COVID mandates. Guys, thanks for being on the show today. Let's get right into it because we are a little bit late. Let's go to this headline from the Calgary Herald. Put separatism to bed. More than 450,000 signatures collected for petition to keep Alberta in Canada. This is former Deputy Premier Thomas Lukaszuk under the old Redford Tories. He's become a bit of an NDP activist these days, so that should tell you just how corrupt the Redford Tories were during their day. And he said that he has collected 456,388 signatures to move forward on a referendum that asks the question, do you agree that Albertans should remain in Canada? I'll go to Marty first and then Chris. Does he know what he did here?
Yes and no. I mean, he listen, he wanted to get a petition before the Alberta Prosperity Project did, but we've been saying all along that we weren't worried about that, because even if he was successful, I don't think he'll be successful. Like the signatures need to be verified, but even if he was successful, okay, so he still gets a referendum and we get to vote. So he's hoping for a yes on his question. We're hoping for a yes on our question. If his question makes it first, that's fine. Then our campaign will pivot and we'll just make sure everybody votes no on his question. And so it's so it's a nothing burger. And by the way, the question itself that he's proposed, it wouldn't make it. I'm surprised the chief electoral officer of Alberta allowed the question, because it's an insignificant question. It doesn't answer anything. Like saying, "Do you want to stay in?" That's like the status quo. Mm-hmm. But yeah. I mean, we're not worried. We're thinking he did us a favor. I mean, if it gets approved as a petition, we'll just pivot and we'll make sure people vote against him. That's all.
If I were more conspiratorial minded, I would think that this guy was working for the APP, but I think he might be just not all that bright.
Well, who knows? I can tell you he's not specifically working for the Alberta Prosperity Project, but it seems as though he's definitely done us a favor, as Marty mentioned. They're framing this as 456,000 people signed to keep Alberta in Canada. That's not what they did. 456,000 people signed to put a referendum question to the people of Alberta that says, do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? And how many of those people that that signed that petition were like, sure, I'll put that to the people and say no, right?
Well, and we know that actually that you're bringing up a couple of good points. I mean, I just want to go back to one thing.
Sure.
You're right. You know, we call him like the commie, you know, Tommy the commie. I mean, that's his nickname. He's also called Fabio. I mean, he is really attention grabbing. That's what he's trying to do. I mean, if you look at some of his other businesses, he has a business, like he has a loan business where they loan money to people of the Muslim faith because they're not allowed to borrow money or whatever. So he's like, he's self-promoting in a lot of ways, and this just helps him in his self-promotion. But back to what Chris was saying, I had people share texts with me and pictures of the tactics that they were using to collect signatures, right? Like they were literally going to old age homes and making people, like, using fear mongering, telling people, like, you got to sign this petition. We need a referendum to stop Donald Trump from annexing, you know, Canada and Alberta. I mean, they were doing like really, really borderline unethical stuff like that to collect their signatures.
Elise?
Well, and all of the signatures that they've collected have to be verified, right? Right? And so that's an exercise in itself. But imagine how dumb you'd feel if you spent all summer tootling around in a candy van, getting people to sign this the petition, only to have the other side go, right, we're going to use that to our advantage. Like, imagine doing your enemy's legwork. Thomas must feel real bad this morning.
Yeah, I mean, we have our friend Keith Wilson. He tweeted out, so Corey Hogan, who is, he's a Liberal MLA, or sorry, a Liberal MP, one of the lone ones in Calgary. He tweeted out his congratulations to Thomas Lukaszuk on his absolutely amazing work on the Forever Canada petition. And then Keith Wilson goes, indeed, Corey, who knew Lukaszuk was really working to get us our independence referendum on Alberta separation? Thank you, Thomas. Referendum 2026.
I actually spoke to Keith yesterday.
Yeah.
Keith is advising the APP sort of on the side. Yeah. I mean, he's a lawyer, right? He's got some opinions, and Keith is of the opinion that first of all, he shared the document. He shared the document that Thomas's team filed, and there's no question in their document that they filed with the, you know, they use the terms to propose a referendum. Whoops. So I still have a landline, one of those rare people. Let me unconnect it so we don't get that incident again. So Keith thinks that the way they filed their question is wrong. First of all, they didn't file a question. They just said, we're proposing a referendum. So Keith's opinion now is that if this goes ahead and the petition's valid, they count all the names on it, and it forces the government's hand, the government itself is going to have to come up with a question. And that's where Keith is like, you know, that's his opinion, is that this is a real big screw up. A, he collected on our behalf. B, he improperly filed. And C, he's now going to turn it over to the government, and the government is going to have to come up with a question. So now that would be interesting in and of itself. I mean, I don't know, because if Keith is correct on that assumption, that would mean that the APP's question might also be invalid, and that the government might have a say in that question. To be, you know, the problem with all of this is we are in uncharted territory. I mean, I've been, you know, dealing with this for almost a year now, longer than that. And you don't know what the government or the courts are going to say until they're confronted with the actual, you know, piece of paper. So a lot of what we're talking about is kind of what we think is going to happen, but a lot can change because these are uncharted territories. I mean, nobody's tested the what's the name of the act that we're
the Clarity Act?
The Clarity Act. The Unclear Clarity Act is, you know, I mean, is one of the most poorly written acts, and we're trying to interpret it, and it's I'm certain it's going to have to be interpreted by the courts again at some point.
Well, there's another thing to think about that, if I may. So the petition is going to compel the government to put a referendum to the people. But the legislation, it allows the government to pick the timing and the question. So if I was in government, I'd be looking at this thinking, well, you know, Justice Feasby has already said that Lukaszuk's question is a nothing burger. Like it doesn't have any teeth. If the answer is yes, nothing changes. If the answer is no, nothing changes. So if I was the government and I wanted to really ask people, I would frame that question more like what the Alberta Prosperity Project has presented. Do you want Alberta to become its own country and cease to be a province of Canada? That has teeth and that makes sense. But spending $20 million on a nothing burger, it's almost as silly as spending $20 on a burger with nothing on it but a bun.
Can we show that? Ron, let's show
Canada
this.
needs to see this.
Canada needs to see it. And we'll let Chris explain the actual nothing burger that he sold at his restaurant. Do you have that, Efron? There we go. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so the Lukasic burger, that was a absolute hit at the Whistle Stop Cafe in Mirror, Alberta. It was just a fluffy bun, just the bun, nothing else. You could even say that it's a nothing burger. And I charged people $20 for it because a referendum in this province costs roughly $20 million. So people came into the Whistle Stop Cafe and they bought this burger as a statement. And then I took the $20 from each burger and I donated it to the Alberta Prosperity Project so they could continue educating Albertans on the merits and benefits and rationale of Alberta independence. It was a lot of fun.
Just gorgeous, Chris. Look
I
at
get
this.
that a
20
lot.
bucks for a bun?
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 bucks for a bun. I'd pay it.
Yeah.
Let's go to this flashback to Premier Daniel Smith remarking on Thomas Lukasic's petition, signature collection campaign. It's not as though he wasn't warned that this was an actual referendum on separatism that he was trying to bring forward, but even Smith pointed it out.
Mr. Lukasic's vote is a yes-no question. It is a separatist referendum. He may be trying to characterize it differently, but if you ask people if you want to remain in Alberta, yes or no, there are implications if people answer no. Mr. Lukasic.
There you go, Marty. Yep.
Now the implications are, I mean, that would be interesting, right? Let's say there is a referendum early next year, and his question is no to do you want to stay in? Then there's no action that comes out of that, as Chris pointed out. The government, it would create a problem for the government. I mean, there is actions that comes out because if 1.6 million or 2 million people say we want out, Danielle won't be able to ignore it. So yeah, Lukasic created a problem, helped us out. I think he helped us out. I mean, no matter what, I'm gonna, nothing changes for us. We're going to keep promoting the benefits of being an independent country. But I'm not worried about what Thomas did, not one bit.
Now, I just want to move ahead because we sort of touched on how the government, which is the UCP, may have to choose a question on this. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't you know it? UCP members want to debate policies around Bitcoin, mRNA vaccines, and separation, and more. So the government, which I think the Venn diagram of UCP supporters and people who want separation, by and large, is a circle. I think so. The people who are UCP members, I think the majority of them would probably describe them as at least sovereigntists in some sort of way. The policies they want debated include, Lisa, you're going to love this, a ban on pronouns in email signatures.
Oh, yes.
And then unification of Alberta, Yukon, and the Northwest Territories. Are we bringing back Rupert's Land, you guys?
Yeah.
Wow.
We'd have to bring a chunk of Saskatchewan to be Rupert's Land, but yeah,
I'm not against it.
No, I'm not against it.
No, I'm not against it. Like let's talk about these things, but that there is an acknowledgement that UCP members, and in Saskatchewan, this is Sask Party members, want to talk about sovereignty or separatism is no small thing, and this is something that both the UCP and the Sask Party are going to have to manage. Yep.
I disagree. I don't think they have to manage it. I think they just have to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're going to force their hand, right? Just a reminder, by the way, the UCP AGM is coming up, right? It's November 28th, 29th, and 30th. So it's a month from now. And then you have until Friday to get the early bird pricing. I'm not a UCP fan, but I will be at the AGM, and we're encouraging everybody to come to the AGM to force these discussions.
Oh, Marty.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to say that the Sask Party Convention is coming up on November 7th and 8th in Saskatoon. Same. Keep talking.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
want to
so-
encourage these discussions.
Yeah. So I mean, the APP estimates that about 70% of current UCP MLAs are truly on board with separation. I mean, they're kind of hamstrung, you know, they can't talk about it openly as members of, as MLAs, they're kind of, you know, what's the term? It's almost seditious to talk about separation, right? They're not allowed to openly talk about it. But if we force their hand and we start saying as a policy out of the AGM that we want to talk about it, then they will have to talk about it. And so we're gonna, encouraging everybody to come out there.
Chris, are you going to the AGM?
Yeah, I sure am. Of course. There's lots of things I want to talk to a lot of people about. But on what Marty just said, you know, people have to remember that our MLAs, they swear allegiance to the Crown. I think Todd Lowen maybe is one of the only ones that included the people of Alberta in that. But if you look back, this entire country was founded on the principle of Crown loyalists in governance positions being rewarded for their, you know, for keeping peace, order, and good government. So it's not an easy task for any MLA or MP to talk about these things because, like Marty said, they're literally going against what you know, the entire purpose of their existence is, and that's to maintain order for the Crown.
Yeah. But that said, we have a great example. I mean, we've had referendums in Quebec in the 90s and earlier, and we have the Bloc Québécois. We have things like that. So there's precedent that you know, you're not going to go to jail, and you're not going to, the king's not going to send out his lynchmen to come and get you if you go against him. Hopefully,
right.
Right. Now, just moving ahead from the Thomas Lukaszuk clown show. And I just love that now everyone's like, thank you, Thomas. Thank you so much for your hard work for the independence movement. Tough day to be Thomas Lukaszuk yesterday. He thought he was going to be like, look at me, I got 500,000 signatures. And everyone's like, thanks, Thomas. Thanks for your help on the separatist movement. But I wanted to talk about Daniel Smith legislating the teachers back to work. My viewpoint is the teacher strike, after 23 years of them never striking, was just a temper tantrum. So I think it is the greed of the ATA, the Alberta Teachers Association, coupled with the fact that they have been legislated away from not being able to trans other people's kids behind their backs, and we got all the perverted books out of the classroom. I think it's a temper tantrum. But they've been legislated back to work, and now the unions and Naheed Nenshi, the NDP leader, are threatening a general strike. I say let's rumble, because the faster they do something like this, the faster we get right to work legislation in this province, which is what I would really love to see. Yeah,
I'll say it's a bit of a temper tantrum, but I think there's also a bit of a hidden agenda, right? I mean, the schools have been failing. Okay, schools have been failing in the last decade, and people, more than the last decade, people are homeschooling and doing other things. And there's a strong movement in this province that wants money going to charter schools, or the ability for parents to keep their own money and not have to pay for the private sector or the public sector, so they can, you know, do whatever they want. So, and I think the unions and the teachers are scared of that. And rather than, you know, so the schools are failing, and there's a movement, and so that's part of it. They came out pretty clearly, and they asked for more money, and people said, where are you going to get the money? And they basically said, well, you can take it from the charter schools, or you can take it from these places. So there's
bring in a PST. They said, or you could bring in a PST.
Yeah. Like, so, and I love it when they talk like that, because they're, then they're like me. And it's like, well, what about the children? And yes, to your point, I've said that, I've been saying it all week. Yeah, bring on the strike. It'll be kind of like what's going on in the US right now. Apparently the US government's shut down and nobody's noticing. So I'd love a general strike of like public service workers in Alberta, and then nobody notices anything different. Okay, then what, right? They don't want to do that. In fact, the ATA, the Teachers Association, today said they're not going to do work to rule. They're going to, they asked their membership.
I should hope so.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'd love a general strike. But
Yeah.
and I also talked a lot about the fact that the teachers, they got a 12% offer. Like, wow, 12% over 4 years. I mean, the general public, since COVID, most of us are making the same or less than we were pre-COVID. So civil servants in this country did very well for the last 5 years, whereas the rest of us, like Chris went to jail and got prosecuted for feeding people, and now you got teachers who are snubbing their noses at a 12% raise. Come on, that makes no sense.
Well, and they're claiming that their human rights are being violated.
Right.
Like, this is not just a labor
yeah.
dispute. This is an absolute existential crisis for the Alberta teachers. Like, to say that they are the most privileged, most spoiled, most overpaid, most days off segment of the entire working population in Canada is not an understatement. There was, when unions were created for coal miners to represent people that were doing very, very dangerous work with no oversight whatsoever, unions had a role. Fast forward to teachers unions who do want to trans your kids, who are transing your kids, who are telling you that they know that your kids don't belong to you. They belong to the state, to the professional educators. I hope Danielle Smith tells them all to get bent.
Well,
that's what I hope.
Kind of did.
Yeah, well, did you see, and one of their claims was not enough money and then smaller class sizes. And everybody started doing the math in their head going, okay, there's 51,000 teachers, there's 800,000 kids. Something doesn't add up here, because if I divide one by the other, that's about, 15 to 20 kids per teacher. Mm-hmm. So then somebody made a request from the government, from the Teachers Association, show us the breakdown of these 50,000 teachers. Well, holy smokes, there's like 3,000 principals, 3,000 assistant principals, a whole bunch of other people. So at the end of the day, their own association is mismanaged. It's similar to AHS. It's just a top-heavy organization. And the frontline the frontline teachers. Sure, the frontline teachers are in crowded classrooms, but I'm glad that Danielle, I'm with you, Sheila. I'm glad that she forced them back to work. I wish she had taken this piece of legislature and inserted a few more documents, right? The right to work, so that people could opt out of unions. I think she missed an opportunity. I will say this, though. There is one part I didn't like about yesterday. No matter what, I don't like legislation. Even if I'm in favor of it, I don't like rules that get shoved down our throats in like one day. The fact that it was only debated in one day, that always makes me nervous, right? Because it sets a precedent, and like the NDP are drooling. If they ever get back in power, they'll keep going, oh, you did it. They're going to shove regulations down our throats in one day. So I just didn't like that part.
Yeah, I'll go to Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much more to it than that. I mean, if you look at, the way the NDP's campaigning and messaging has been through this whole time, and what the ATA is saying, they've been aligned and they're running parallel campaigns. So my theory, and it's just a theory, is that this is not so much about the teachers, because these problems have existed for years.
Exactly.
This is an opportunistic advancement for the NDP. They chose this time specifically, and I want people to know that the teachers bargaining group, the TEBA, they went to the table with the ATA and they reached a tentative agreement in September. And Sheila, I think it was you that you were talking about some leaked notes from NDP people talking about how they're supposed to frame this. But they went to the table and they gave the teachers, they said, yeah, we're going to give you these things. We're going to give you the 12% increase plus a 17% increase over different things, 3,000 new teachers, 1,500 EAs. We're going to put a task force on class sizes and complexity and behavioral issues so we can put people where they need to be. We're going to fix these problems. They reached the agreement. And then the ATA came back and said, well, no, we don't agree. Now we want COVID boosters. And so they gave them the COVID boosters. And then they said, well, no, now we want $2 billion more. So they're trying to frame it as they're trying to fix these systemic problems in the classrooms, overcrowded, underfunded, that type of thing. But those things were agreed to be addressed by government. Yeah. And even after that, they still came back and said, no, we want $2 billion. So it looks to me like they're trying to draw this out as long as they can to try and get people angry at the government. And they always frame it with class sizes. And then they forget to mention that Alberta teachers are the highest paid in the entire country. So there's way more. This is way deeper than what people might realize.
Yeah, if part of you're right, and part of the problem definitely is the class sizes are getting bigger because of the out of control immigration, right? I mean, I looked into that this week. I mean, there's 60,000 more kids in Alberta than there was 5 years
Oh my
ago.
God.
So
Oh my
we
God.
should. So if Danielle was clever, she would take
60
she would send a $2 billion tab to Ottawa and say,
Sure.
you owe us because
Yes.
you're causing this problem and we're having to pay for it.
Just to jump in there, the part that really irritates me about all of this is the teachers are pretending like they're indentured servants.
Right.
You can literally just go get a different job. Like if this one is so terrible and you're working, and to hear them say it, the system is broken. Okay, I agree. If you're working in a broken system, why aren't you just going somewhere else? Like if I hated my employer, I would just go somewhere else. If I had marketable skills that I could take somewhere else, if I had a strong work ethic, I could go somewhere else and be just fine. Like I that's the part that drives me crazy. But also, they're saying the system is broken while simultaneously saying we need to put an end to the other system, the charter system that allows the people to escape our broken system. So, like, pick a lane teachers.
Yeah, no, they're fear mongering by saying, oh, well, there's a big push to defund public education. Correct, because it is such a disaster.
But we're not defunding public education. We're funding the kid.
Yeah.
And they
Right.
see,
No,
they
no,
see
no.
it as
They
something
see it like
stolen from them.
Public education meaning their system, their system.
Yeah.
And parents want out of their system. Yeah.
They frame independent as greedy, right? It's not private schools. There's no private schools in Alberta. They're all independent or charter. I send my son to an independent school because I don't like the fact that I walk into classrooms and all I see is pride flags. I think that's complete malarkey. Kids are there to learn. They're not there to be indoctrinated. I pay out of my pocket $8,000 a year extra to send my kid to an independent school partly because the government, instead of funding him the $13,460 that public school kids get, they fund 75% of that. I have to make up the difference, and it's more expensive to go to school there. So taxpayers actually save on average, well, not even on average, they save 25% across the board for every student that's in an independent school.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing in this discussion that people don't like to talk about is, they love to talk about how Alberta students are the most underfunded. I think that's crap. I mean, the provinces are funded almost equally, but let's say that Alberta is underfunded per student. There's tons of reports that show that Alberta students do better than every other province in math and language and science.
Right.
And
Oh, without
things.
question.
So
and for the last 20 years, Marty, Alberta students have run circles around everybody else.
Right. I'm hearing
we're
math
and
efficient.
language. Yes.
Yeah. So throwing money at the problem is no, that's not the problem. It's if money made smarter kids, then explain what's going on in whatever other provinces.
Right. When you read those numbers, what I hear is, boy, Alberta's doing a good job. They're pretty efficient.
Yeah.
With their education funding. Now, before I let you guys go, because we promised a half an hour, I just want to bring up the poll. City News held a poll, and it's not going the way I think City News hoped or the NDP hoped. Efron, I sent you that screenshot earlier in the day. If you could bring that up. So if the NDP thought that dragging out a teacher's strike so long that kids lose a month of school, and let's not forget that these are kids who are out of school for damn near a year thanks to COVID, what was going to work in favor of the NDP, or at least the opposition to the current government, it ain't. If we can bring that up, I think it's well over 2/3 of people are supportive of legislation to send kids back to school immediately. So it's not going the way that the unions think it is.
No, Canadians are tired. We're tired of being held hostages by the people whose salaries we pay. I'm a taxpayer and I'm paying the teachers, and it's not just teachers. We're tired of being held hostages by the unions in this country.
Yeah, if this is all about the kids and teachers, why is this being framed as taking away teachers' rights? Why isn't this being framed as affirming the kids' rights?
Right.
To get an education, to be in school, teacher or parents' rights to have their dollars spent wisely. We have all sorts of things.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. The other side, the left, loves to lean on the United Nations all the time as a proof point for their argument. So I will too. The United Nations Declaration of the Rights of the Child say that my kid has a right to education. And these tantrum throwing cry bullies damaged her rights. And I'm tired of entitled adults hurting the rights of kids.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where
All
was
right.
where was the wailing and gnashing of teeth when teachers' right to their own medical choices were taken away over the 4-year period?
Thank
where
you.
Where were people then?
I know you're trying to end the segment, but I'm actually surprised that unions are still relevant. I think unions failed a lot of teachers, a lot of police officers, doctors, nurses. Teachers failed them miserably during COVID, and now they're right back at their old tricks. I think this is the beginning of the end of all these powers that unions have.
Right to work, buddy. Right to work. You should, they say they have a right to associate, for sure. But with that comes the counter right to not associate. And boy, I would sure hate to work in a union workplace these days. Gentlemen, we'll start with you, Chris. How do people find you, support you, and learn more about the work that you do with the Alberta Prosperity Project?
Well, if you want to find me, just go wherever there's trouble. I'm probably in the middle of it. I have a restaurant in East Central Alberta, just on the eastern edge of Lacombe County, called the Whistle Stop Cafe. I'm there most of the time. I actually feel like I live there. Online, you can find me at the Whistle Stop Cafe on Facebook, or using my real name, and I don't have to put real in front of it when I change my name to something else. It's just Christopher Scott. And on X, I'm also the Whistle Stop Cafe. So that's where you can find me there. Also, www.whistlestoptruckstop.ca. I know it's a mouthful, but it's worth going there because I've been blogging again, and a lot of the stuff I've really tried to capture all of the things I'm thinking about and get them into a blog. I've done a couple in the past few weeks. One of them on Alberta independence, one of them on the history of Confederation and why we need to be independent again, and then just a couple other more personal ones. So that's where you find me.
Great, thanks, Marty.
Actually, I changed my name on the screen there. It's Marty Up North on X, and you find me there. Come chat with me. I don't need support. I'm not doing this for money. I'm just concerned about the future of this country. And like Chris, I'm a bit of a troublemaker, and I hang out at a lot of events. I go to a lot of any APP event that's in my neighborhood. I go to, and I keep telling this to people. I'm just an ordinary Joe. So if you see me in the crowd, come see me. Come chat with me. Just on that thought. We didn't talk about the rally this weekend, but I realized I didn't film anything at the rally. I couldn't extract myself from the rally and be an observer of the rally. I was too much in the moment, and I had so many people coming to chat. So I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, and that's what I like to do. I like talking. So come see me if you ever see me.
Yeah, it was hard. I was there. It was hard. Thanks, gentlemen. We'll hit an ad break, and we'll see you back on the other side. But thanks, guys. Appreciate your insights today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You like the hat? Me too. Same strong message about making Canada great again, but in a really cool color, black and gold. There's other colors available, and it's an all Canadian site. So if you want to signal your tribe or trigger a Liberal, go to mcgahats.ca.
Don't settle for being on the rate of last resort if you don't have to be. Check your most recent electricity bill. If it says the words rate of last resort on it, then there are likely better options available for you. In fact, you could save hundreds of dollars per year by switching plans. Check your bill, then go to ucahelps.ca to explore your options. You will likely find a better rate and could have hundreds more in your pocket by the end of the year. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Gun bans make great distractions.
Trudeau may be gone, but Carney has picked up his same rhetoric.
We will quickly, and I mean quickly, reinvigorate the buyback of...
Hunters, collectors, competitors, and defenders of tradition are still being targeted, while criminals run wild under Liberal policy. But we are fighting back. Join us, Canada's National Firearms Association, in defense of freedom.
By connecting businesses with qualified candidates, Workforce Alberta helps employers change their story.
You've finished a long run. You're hot and thirsty. This is what we call a last resort. If your most recent electricity bill says the rate of last resort, then your raid is like the half-finished water bottle you noticed sitting on a bench. It will serve its purpose, but there are likely better options available.
Aren't those guys a delight? We should go back to the Whistle Stop for a van life trip and some lunch.
I was just thinking that. I was literally just thinking that, Sheila Gunn. Reed Mirror is such a fun stop on the prairies to just spend a day or a couple days. And so I'm going to put it on our travel list for next spring.
Yes. Yeah, it's getting a little chilly, but I did buy a heater for the green bean.
You did?
Yeah. So we'll see.
The only thing that's stopping me from tootling, like van lifing all year long, is heat. That's it. Like, it can get a little bit uncomfortable on the Saskatchewan, Alberta prairie, but
right. I think sub minus 10, it becomes problematic.
Yeah.
I think, anyways, we'll talk off camera.
Yeah.
I want to show you this one because this was flagged to me by our mutual good buddy, Chris Sims of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. And Gage Halbrich is doing some great work over at the CTF Prairie Division. So that's Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I should make a pilgrimage to this. Taxpayers stuck with $26,000 bill for AI garbage can. And I guess he found this in the wild. Like, he was at the mall and saw this. The city of Saskatchewan paid more than $26,000 for Oscar Sort, a large flat screen monitor placed behind recycling bins that tells people who approach it carrying garbage what bin they're supposed to put it in. But the high-tech trash bin only got it right 38% of the time.
Who made 26 grand off of this? That's my question. 26 grand on a garbage can, you guys.
It's using city and federal taxpayers' money doled out through the Food Waste Prevention and Diversion Research and Capacity Building Fund. That's a mouthful. The city of Saskatoon purchased the AI recycling bin called Oscar Sort in January 2025. And so this wasn't his own test, although I would love to go there and do a test on Oscar Sort. Yeah. According to documents obtained by the CTF, so like internal, I guess, accuracy measuring done by the government, that's how they came to that 38% accuracy number. Uh-huh. And it keeps getting worse. So that's a 12.4% decrease in performance compared to June.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Smart Recycling Assistant, centralized zero-touch, zero-water station that gamifies recycling. Oh, so this is supposed to attract kids to think that recycling is cool. That's what it was meant to do.
Okay, so it's even crazier because this garbage can moves around, I guess.
Like it's a garbage can robot?
It's roving. Not in that it moves around, but then they pay city workers to move it, to showcase it places. And so I'm going to have a tough time finding this thing if I go to Saskatoon. I think.
Mobile. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, this is where your Canadian tax dollars are going, Canada.
Oh, completely.
Look at this. Like, our kids don't need this. We absolutely don't need this. You know they have Xboxes, right, guys? Like, you know that they have Xboxes and
But also, like, see how it's labeled? Compost, recyclables. So, like, you already know where you're supposed to put your stuff. You already know. You don't need the robot to help you. You already know where you're supposed to put your stuff. And if you're like me, you don't. Because I think recycling is a scam.
I get a great deal of joy of just putting whatever in whatever bin. We have 3 bins where we live. Like, we have 3 bins, and it's just a lot too much. I don't want to think about garbage that much, to be completely honest. I don't care.
You know what? I do think about garbage a little bit, but just on this point, the city spent an extra $800 for a tent, like a market tent, to house Oscar, the computerized garbage can, at the Saskatoon Jazz Festival.
That's what happened.
Where are they buying these tents? They're like $140 down at the Costco for those white farmers market tents.
Sheila, when you're spending other people's money, you go for the best of the best. Okay, you get the custom printed tent with the custom sidewalls.
Also, you don't have a City of Saskatoon white tent laying around? Of course you do. Why did this thing need its own tent?
Well,
what does it know?
Well, here's the crazy thing. It's a garbage can, but it can't go outdoors because it's, it can't withstand the weather.
Exactly.
Make it make sense.
I do think about garbage a little bit because, as you know, I enjoy burning my garbage. I have that big, beautiful incinerator outside of my door. And Boxing Day is thus called Boxing Day, not because it's the day that the stores box up their Christmas stuff, but because it's the day that Sheila burns all the boxes in the driveway. I love burning garbage. I love it.
A burn barrel is really therapeutic. Yeah, it's a therapeutic exercise.
If you could, you know what? I feel bad for city people who don't have a burn barrel. Do you know what isn't therapeutic?
My 3 stupid garbage bins that I'm forced to pay for.
Exactly, and it's never enough. It's like you have 6 kids. Like that's not enough garbage cans.
You should see how overloaded we get at Christmas. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I'm sure.
It takes us until March to get rid of it all out of the garage. Yeah.
You need a big Hutterite style incinerator like I have.
I should take it to my nearest colony.
Exactly.
We're buddies.
They know how to handle garbage.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Headline. I wish I had been privy to this conversation. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. U.S. ambassador to Canada goes on expletive-laced tirade at Ontario's trade representative. Witnesses say the incident happened at the Canadian American Business Council gathering in Ottawa, and Pete Hoekstra, I guess, went up one side of the trade representative and down the other. So
just came unglued. So it's reported that there were several F-bombs dropped, that he was not shy about saying how deeply unhappy he was with the Canadian trade negotiations. And it's all because guess who opened their mouth again?
Oh, yeah. He unloaded on Ontario's trade representative, Dave Patterson. But this, like, look at this. The witness said Hoekstra could be heard using the F word. I believe that. And mentioned Ontario Premier Doug Ford by name. I bet he did. I effing bet he did.
The Americans are just burning mad, are absolutely burning mad. So other years, this has been a really nice, sort of polite Ottawa event where everybody, the Americans and the Canadians get in a room and everybody has wine and it's all very civilized. This year, the American ambassador didn't say anything publicly, nothing. He saved all of his comments for this blasting that he gave Doug Ford and Doug's friend.
Good.
And yes, and the only comments that were made by the Canadian ambassador. So then it comes at the very, very bottom of the article. It talks about how Doug Ford says publicly that Pete Hoekstra should apologize to Doug's friend. That's literally what he says. Apologize. He says apologize to is it
here? I've got it. It says Pete.
Thank you.
Pete, you've got to call Dave up and apologize. Okay, so his solution is to tell the Americans what to do? Oh, no.
That's exactly what he did, Sheila Gunn-Reid. He's saying to the American ambassador, yo, Pete, call my guy and apologize to him for what you did. I don't think Doug Ford knows what he just did because Pete Hoekstra is absolutely furious and justifiably so.
We have to take Doug Ford and can he go to the Agacon's Island for a bit? Like somewhere where there's no internet or anything. Okay, this is what he said at a news conference on Wednesday. So it wasn't like privately and people heard this. He decided to take to the podium, Doug Ford, who just keeps like putting his leg in a friggin' snare all the time. Do we have video of this? This is crazy because he basically calls Hoekstra crazy. My Lord above. I'm so sorry, Ontario Steelworkers. This is your guy.
Question is, the Globe and Mail has a piece that speaks about Ambassador Hoekstra, to use a blunt phrase, cursing out your Ontario representative in the United States at a meeting. What do you say to that? This was related to your advertisement related to Donald Reagan.
Yeah.
What's your response to Ambassador Hoekstra's words?
Come on, Ambassador. He's a guy. You know something? I like him. Pete, you got to call Dave up and apologize. It's simple. You know, the cheese slipped off the cracker. I get it. You're ticked off. But call the guy up because you're a good guy, and Dave's my champion. The guy is just instrumental in these trade deals down in Washington. And, you know, something, people get hot. They get heated. I get heated sometimes. But just call the guy up and bury the hatchet, because the ambassador's a good guy, actually. I love Dave. I like the ambassador, so he knows what to do. Come on, Pete, you've been around for before Moses. Call the guy up and apologize. Let's start getting back on track. Simple as that.
That's not going to go over well.
That ain't going to help. Like, I just feel anxiety for the Ontario economy watching that. You can't say your cheese slipped off the cracker. You can't call him crazy. He let your trade representative have it. And I don't think your trade representative should have a job anymore, by the way, because I don't think he's doing a good job. Although I don't think Doug Ford's given him a lot to work with.
Without question, the entire bureaucracy that is upholding, because Doug is like, you have to call and apologize to my guy. He's my champion. Doug.
Champion.
You are crapping the bed, and anybody that's emboldening to Doug Ford to keep doing this should not be part of the trade negotiation. And so what's so interesting is Doug forgets that the Americans are negotiating trade deals with like 90 other countries right now, like 90 other countries. And what Doug did was put Canada on the very bottom of that list. Now, whether this was by design or just by Doug being Doug, that remains to be seen. But in any case, Ambassador Hoekstra has every reason to be very, very, very upset at Doug Ford right now. Yeah.
Do you know, I'm learning something here, and I think it is to keep my anger, or at least my antics, to myself until it is advantageous to unload them. I'm going to try to be a little bit less predictable in my behavior. I'm going to be a little more Pete Hoekstra, because he could have just let that go into the media, and that would have been the end of it. But he waited. And then he unloaded on the exact person who deserved it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Doug Ford is actually the exact person that deserved it, but a proxy anyway.
At the event that was meant to highlight the good working relationship that America has with Canada, he waited until that moment. Like that was meant to get noticed, and it did. Well done, Ambassador.
Yeah, and it's a thought that I've been having since the last Canada Strong and Free conference, but I just didn't want to make a scene at their conference. But there was somebody there who I would like to have told off, but I didn't. But I didn't. I'll get him next time. I'll get him next time. Okay. It's just somebody who said mean things about Rebel News to advance his career, and then his career is in the toilet. And so I guess maybe I don't need to say anything because the life said it for me. So anyways, let's keep going. Oh no, Premier Ford making it worse if that were possible. Listen to this.
To that, I don't know, dressing down that Pete Hoekstra gave David Patterson. Yeah. What does that say to you that the person who is ostensibly, you know, baking in Canadian culture does not understand at this moment why you ran that Reagan ad and what it is that Ontarians are trying to achieve in our negotiations with the U.S.?
I guess the ambassador, he must understand it. He's been around for forever. When you have someone attacking your province, attacking your country, constantly saying it's a 51st state, trying to take our auto jobs down to the U.S., taking our manufacturing, life science jobs, trying to take our steel jobs, what do they expect me to do? Sit back and roll over like every other person in the world? I'm going to fight like I've never fought before. I said during the election I'm going to protect people, and I will use every tool in my toolbox to protect the people of Ontario and protect the people of Canada. Like, what does he expect? And the intention wasn't to go poke the president in the eye. My intention was to get a conversation going, wake up the Democrats a little bit down there. And my goodness, it woke them up all right. And they're still talking about it on CNN. But I saw a poll on CNN that Canada is way more popular than the president with the American people. We love Americans. I tell you, we don't love President Trump. I'll tell you that. And I think he was in the poll I saw on CNN is minus 60. I don't know, minus 60. I don't know how much lower you can get than minus 60. So why doesn't the president start being nice, play nice in the sandbox to his biggest customer in the entire world, and everything's hunky-dory. So let's get on with it.
Oh, no.
Oh, that was so much worse than anything he's ever said before. And that was just an admission that Doug Ford is basically working for the Democrats in the United States. He took a direct swing at President Trump. This is not going to end well. The end. It's not going to end well. We all know it. We all just heard it. How tone deaf and undiplomatic is Doug Ford? And what did he just do?
Right. Like he said, I was speaking to the Democrats. Like, so you're speaking to the enemy of the person you're supposed to be negotiating with? Who told you that was a good idea?
That's what he just said. That's literally what he just said.
Trying to get the Democrats on his side to put pressure on the Republicans? Do you think that's going to go well for you?
Doug,
I can't imagine that it is.
That sounds a lot like interference. Yeah.
Oh God. And then to say we don't like Trump.
Categorically untrue, Doug?
Well, but at the same time, even if that's Doug Ford's personal opinion, zip it. It's unhelpful in a trade negotiation.
This is exactly my point. Doug is supposed to represent a wide variety of people in Ontario. And without question, there are Trump supporters, many Trump supporters in Ontario. And by saying that, that President Trump is somehow unlikable, or not liked, that puts all of Ontario at risk, to be completely honest. Yeah, when the stakes are this big.
I just can't believe he said that. Like, I just, what is he doing? I guess helping the Liberals get election ready. That's the only thing that I can think of that
like
he's
he did
doing.
Last time. Yeah,
exactly like what he did last time. What do you guys think? Let us know in the chats if you think that Doug Ford is trying to help Carney with his anti-American campaign because he can't campaign on his record. Oh, goodness. You know what it means to me that perhaps there's an election right around the corner. The worse this gets, the closer I think we are to an election.
Oh, the more they accelerate it, the faster we're going to, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're laying the groundwork for another big Canada versus United States elbows up palooza.
Yeah. And I mean, the budget vote is on the 4th of November and the Yukon election is on the 3rd. And they could be booting their Liberal government out. So I think the Liberals are real desperate right now. We've got one more clip from Doug Ford and then, no, let's not do any more Doug Ford. I'm getting a headache. The Bank of Canada just said it out loud that Canadians must accept a lower standard of living. Why?
What?
Let's watch this.
What that means is that unless something else changes, our incomes will be lower than they otherwise would have been. They'll grow, but they'll grow along a lower. This was the old path. Now there's a new path, which is below the old path. There are things the country can do to try to bend that curve up, but those aren't things monetary policy can do. These are more structural changes. I mean, fundamentally, as the senior deputy governor has hammered many times, we need to get our productivity growth up. And if we can do that as a country, we can bend that curve up. So, I mean, I think what's most concerning is that unless we change some other things, our standard of living as a country, Canadians, is going to be lower than it otherwise would have been. And unfortunately,
that's Tiff Macklem, head of the Bank of Canada. You know, he's got Mark Carney's old job, and he's saying that Mark Carney is doing a bad job running the economy. So much so that we have to have a lower standard of living than the generation before us, which is insane. That's not how society has ever worked. This
is not how developed nations work. What he's saying is we have to get our productivity growth up. But what is getting in the way of growth in Canada? Government spending and government itself. It is the government. It is the government. So it'd be real good if Tiff Macklem could get in touch with the former head of the Bank of Canada about reversing some of these destructive and economy decimating ideas. It'd be great. They could get in touch. I'm sure they have each other's number. You know, I'm sure that they know how to find each other.
This is how you advance civilization. Like you move civilizations forward by, each generation subsequent has a higher standard of living. The one generation makes sacrifices with spending or whatever. And the point is that the next generation is ultimately better off. They have a higher standard of living. They live longer. Education rates are better. Mortality rates are better. Like that's how it goes. And we are doing the opposite right now. This is the Dark Ages.
It really truly is, because for the last 120 years in Canada, especially in the West, we've developed faster than at any other point in history. And now we have the Bank of Canada saying, "Oh, that's right. We're just going to lay off. We're just going to lay off developing the nation for now. We're just gonna let everybody sort of coast and get used to having less than what they had before." It's actually outrageous.
Yeah. What message do you think this sends to Canada's young people?
Yeah, get used to living with less. Don't dream so big.
This is the 2040 report. That's what he's talking about. That 2040 report where they're like, you might have to strangle a goose in the local park to stay alive. And that you may never move out of your parents' basement, or there might be multi-generational mortgages because of the catastrophic effect of today's spending. This is what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep.
Ugh. Okay. Do we have any chats, Efron? Okay, no chats. That's okay. Because I need a couple of minutes to talk about this cringe. So one of the cringiest politicians, I think, in Canada right now, that we don't, I mean, I pay attention to him because I'm in Alberta, but it's his affect. It's how he talks with his hands and stuff. It's Naheed Nenshi. I don't know how he was the mayor of Calgary for so long. Now he is the NDP leader in a safe Edmonton riding. And he says, basically, he's threatening Danielle Smith with FAFO, F around and find out, in a standoff with the unions. I can't imagine somebody more cringeworthy of saying such a phrase and then trying to explain such a phrase to the boomer aunties who follow the NDP. And yet he tries. You're going to want to jump out of your skin watching this. Now, this is sort of not selectively edited, but cleverly, funly edited by an account called the NDP Lie Detector on X. But anyways, watch this.
FAFO. And the premier is in the FO stage.
Badass, 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 badass.
That means find out. It doesn't mean anything dirty. The first part is dirty.
Creepy. I don't like this, you guys.
This is language I don't normally use. I'm a pretty even-keeled guy.
Pretty even-keeled guy?
Try to be.
And I'll give Premier Smith some credit. She got the double play.
Here's the pitch.
And the big, strong, tough premier.
Compliment her.
She is tough. She is strong. Her entire brand is she stands up for Alberta.
Ooh, is that a compliment?
He never compliments me.
And last night, I sat there the whole night.
I waited in the bushes.
It looked like an Undertaker's convention. By the way,
This looks like an Undertaker's
My friend
convention.
Craig Snodgrass, the newly re-elected mayor of High River, who is an Undertaker, told me that Undertaker conventions are actually super fun. I will take him at his word.
The hell is he doing?
Exactly.
And that is what I saw in the faces of her caucus as I stared at them all night.
How much would this all cost, and where would you get the funding from?
Well, you know, the funniest part of that question is, in fact, it probably wouldn't have cost a whole heck of a lot.
Such a great edit. Congrats to the person that put that together. Just lovely.
I think that's a UCP affiliated PAC that does that. But he's talking about an Undertaker's convention. If that weren't like a fun edit, I would have died of boredom watching it. And in fact, I tried to watch that press conference and I couldn't get past the we're in the FO stage of FAFO. Don't worry, that's not anything dirty. The first part is dirty. And but the way he says it, so like, don't worry, it's not dirty. The first part is dirty, but not the second part. And I don't normally
I'm a pretty even-keeled guy.
And I don't normally talk like this.
Just
But
like
I looked at the faces of her caucus, and it looked like an Undertaker.
all night.
All night. I
them.
stared at them all night.
I was staring.
I stared at them all night. As I stared at them all night, and it was like an Undertaker's convention. And it was like, I feel like I'm currently at an Undertaker's convention listening to your creepy ass press conference. Like, do you read the words that you have written before you say them and think, man, this sounds weird?
Yeah, and then exactly like the NDP is always want to do when somebody goes ahead and asks how much it will cost to do what the NDP is saying they want to do, and they're like, you know, it's actually just very affordable.
It probably won't cost that much.
Sure it won't. Sure it won't. Like, sure it won't. Naheed Nenshi. We know exactly how Calgary got in the trouble it did, and that was you. And congrats,
yeah,
Alberta NDP for snapping up that absolute firecracker.
Oh God, he's really blowing my hair back. Just listening to him talk. You know, he reminds me of is, not in style, because I feel like he had a little bit more riz, as the kids say. But if you watch Arrested Development, Tobias Funke, the brother-in-law, where he said stuff without realizing what he was saying, usually was something alluding to the fact that he likes men. But when he's like, it felt like an Undertaker's convention when I stared at them all night. I stared at their faces. I looked at their faces all night, and it felt like an Undertaker's convention. And it's like,
we listen to too much true crime. We listen to too much true crime to be able to let that line go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Total
That's
weirdo.
a red flag. Yes, red flag.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, that's the best and the brightest of the NDP brain trust. That's who they want the premier to be.
Mm-hmm. Could you imagine?
High energy. High energy. Anyway, I think that's it. That's the show for today. We're about 20 minutes past the top of the hour. I am shuffling off to my next meeting. Lise, thanks so very much for being with us these last 2 days. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure.
Thanks. Thanks to our special guests today, Marty Belanger, Chris Scott, fun guys, and advocates for the best for the West, whatever that might look like. That's for us to decide. Oh, we've got one last minute chat to come in. Naitotem 888 gives us $20. Quotes a Bible verse. Revelation 13:18. Here's wisdom. Let him that hath understand. Hath. Are we? I was going to say we're in the King James version. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Carney moved Brookfield to 666 Fifth Avenue, New York City. I don't know if that's true. I've seen people say that. I actually doubt that there's such a place as 666 Fifth Avenue, New York City. I feel like it's just too on the nose. But I'll look into it. Okay.
I am right now.
Okay, good. I just feel like it's too on the nose. I really do. All right. Let's wrap up the show so that Efron and I can get into the next thing that we need to do. Thanks to everybody who watches the show and does the very free and affordable thing of sharing and engaging with our work. It helps put us higher up in the algorithms. We are so close to 2 million YouTube subscribers. And if you just do that, like I said, very free thing of engaging with our work, they will serve it up in front of more people, and lo and behold, we'll get more subscribers that way. So that's how you can help us. To those of you who pitch in today, but also anytime that we are on the live stream here, we couldn't do this work without you. We just appreciate you for choosing us. There are plenty of other places that you could spend what little money the government leaves in your pocket. And to everybody who works behind the scenes at Rebel News, thank you very much for helping us do the show. And as we've been saying on the show here, if you find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all.